Well, talk about a tale of two halves. The Champions League draw looks like this for the quarters and the semis. All the pedigree, all the titles, all the history on the bottom half of the draw with your Juventuses, your Barcelonas, your Bayern Munichs, your Real Madrids. At the top half of the draw, teams with a lot of hope, trying to win it all for the first time. Lot to dissect here. Sid Lowe is with us. Julian Laurent is now on board. Julian, surprised to see you. I thought, given what we'd seen on yesterday's show, that you'd nipped off to UEFA and conducted the draw yourself. This is perfect for PSG.
Yeah, almost perfect, Adrian. You have to say, although it would be a tricky game against Atalanta, especially on just one game, on 90 minutes of football or 120 minutes of football. But they were very happy in Paris still to have avoided all the big guns, as you mentioned, that will all be in the second part of the draw, so you can only face them and face only one of them as well in the final if you potentially get there. But to play Atalanta with all the risk that will come with them, because they're a very dangerous side, they're a very good attacking side, maybe the best attacking side in Europe right now. It's still better to play them than play Bayern Munich, let's say in a quarter-final, and then in the semi-final, Leipzig and Atletico is also more affordable if you're PSG than to play a Barcelona or Real Madrid or even a Man City and teams like that. So they were definitely relieved and happy by how the draw went for them.
Before we get to the heavyweights, Sid, the reaction in Madrid from the Atletico side of the city, it couldn't have gone much better for them either, could it?
No, exactly. Everything that Jules is talking about with Paris Saint-Germain has been talked about here with Atletico Madrid. There was a sudden, if you like, kind of the immediate response was, well, this is the year then. This is the time that Atletico Madrid do it. And in fact, that kind of response was so overwhelming that I must admit my kind of first reaction was to say, whoa, hang on, calm down. Because we all know what happens when Atletico Madrid start to believe. There is going to be some horribly cruel twist of fate at some point that will make this not happen. But there's no doubt about it that on the face of it, at least, it's a good draw. That my one doubt, I suppose, from Atletico Madrid's point of view would be, this is a team that over the last, 6-7 years, maybe even a little bit longer, has kind of set itself up to be the team that upsets the odds, to be the team that wins when it shouldn't, to be the team that takes on bigger clubs than them. And they're now in a position where actually they might have to play as favourites. And I just wonder if psychologically that puts them in a different place and an unfamiliar place.
Julian, let's look at the bottom half of that draw where all the big names are residing. Manchester City must be cursing their luck. Their path is quite extraordinary, isn't it, if they are going to go on and win this tournament?
It's incredible. It's the worst draw possible, really, for City. If you think about it, pretty much every team they wanted to avoid until the final will be there before the final. And actually probably the easiest game, if they go to the final, might be in the final. If they face a PSG side, well, anything they could face in the final would be less strong than what they would have faced until then, because you could expect, let's say they go through against Real Madrid, although that's not a given when you see how solid and efficient Real Madrid are at the moment, but they go through, then it's probably Ronaldo and Juventus, which would be a hell of a game. And then if you get through that in the semi-final, you'll have either Bayern or Barcelona or Napoli. And if it's Barcelona or if it's Bayern, it's another hell of a game for Pep Guardiola. And it's all the other narratives and the other stories of, you face Messi and you face Barcelona, or you face Bayern and this your other old team, and if you face Cristiano, it's all those games that you used to play with Barcelona against Cristiano. It's all those narratives that make that second half of the draw so much more exciting, really, than the top side of the draw.
Yeah, so many potential storylines. Sid, how do you begin to look at this and evaluate how it's all going to shake out?
The answer to that is I don't actually know, because you're right, there are so many different elements to it. I suppose at the moment you start by doing what Jules has just done there, and you start plotting paths. And if you plot paths, then you see the kind of the relentlessness of it. Now, in a way, this maybe I do kind of feel like maybe we won't have time for these storylines because of the fact that this is going to be a Champions League compressed into 3 rounds with everyone in Lisbon together, 3 days apart like a mini tournament. Perhaps we won't have time for these storylines to, if you like, kind of be built, be told, be unpicked, and then have time before the next game. Because almost as soon as one game's over, the next game comes in, and so that will be, if you like, the backdrops to these stories. But those stories, I think, probably won't be told as much, and so perhaps we will actually be funneled into the football more than we would normally be in a competition like this. But I think the fundamental thing, at least today, which is a day of the draw, and when we get closer to it, it may feel different. But the day of the draw, I think the reaction is exactly what Jules has just done, which is for everyone to kind of look at the pathways. And then to step back from the pathways and say, okay, let's look at this into two halves. On the one half, you've got guaranteed one of the teams in the final has never won the European Cup. One of the teams that gets in the final has never won the European Cup. And then look at it from the other side, you go, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, Barcelona, I'm missing one out, aren't I? Manchester City.
Yeah.
Only one of those will even get to the final. And so yeah, it's from that point of view, it's an extraordinary draw.
And really, as Sid mentions, Julian, the uniqueness is it, the one-off games, the neutral venue in Lisbon, it's going to be like nothing we've ever seen before.
It's a new competition, it's a completely new format. It's like a World Cup or Euros. You've got 90 minutes or 120 and penalties potentially as well, but anything can happen. You can defend very well for 89 minutes and then concede a goal. You can be super dominant, not score, and get done on a counter-attack in the 90th minute, and there's no way back. There's not a second leg for you to try to come back. There's no remontadas. There's nothing like that have upset so many teams in the past, whether that's PSG or Barcelona. So it's completely different. You'll have to approach it in a different way. The players will respond to it in a different way. Psychologically, it's a complete different competition. Some would have played a lot before, some would not. Some had a little break after finishing their season. It would be so different that I think it makes it unpredictable and again, far more exciting than if we had here under a normal format.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.